All right, it's 1:00. Welcome, everybody, to the meeting of the Oklahoma County Criminal Justice Authority. Tricia Everest serving as chair, calling the meeting to order. We will do roll call, and then I recommend that everyone puts their devices on mute until which time they would like to speak. We'll start with roll call and start with Trustee Ekwerekwu.
Francine Ekwerekwu, present.
You're cutting out, Tricia. Who?
Oh, I'm cutting out. That's scary. Trustee Berry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Berry, are you present?
Trustee Berry is present.
Mr. Couch?
Present.
Mr. Honeycutt?
I'm present.
Trustee Arnall?
Present.
I'm present. Commissioner Calvi?
Present.
Mr. Lamb? And Trustee Brown?
Here.
Okay, thank you. We have quorum. The meeting has been properly posted on April 30th, 2020. I'm going to read the Pledge of Allegiance. Those that would like to can say it alone. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the
to the
flag
flag of the United States
of America.
and to the
republic for which it stands,
one nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
justice for all.
Should the meeting be misplaced, as you can't hear me, or any other reasons for this, I would recommend that it would reconvene within 30 minutes of this today, and then it's the alternative next Monday at 1:00. Any comments, questions?
I second that.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay, would probably be easier.
Just a point of order, I need to have a motion and a second first. So you're motioning, Tricia made a motion, then I need a second, and then we take the roll call, please.
Second.
Mr. Couch, second. Ms. Ekwerekwu.
Aye.
Mr. Berry.
Aye.
Mr. Couch.
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt.
Yes.
Ms. Arnall.
Yes.
Chair says yes. Commissioner Calvin.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Lamb. No, not present. Item number 2, approval of the minutes. They've been posted from April 6, 2020. I ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Honeycutt, was that you seconding?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Berry moved. Mr. Honeycutt seconded. Roll call. Ms. Ekwerekwu.
Yes.
Mr. Berry.
Yes.
Mr. Couch.
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt.
Yes.
Ms. Arnall.
Yes.
Chair says yes. Commissioner Calvi.
Aye.
And Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Item number 3 will be deferred to a later date meeting. Does that need to have any other comments or approvals?
It does not.
All right, item number 4. So we've had some questions for the accrued leave, that when the detention officers or the captains would then become the employees of the authority, the questions of the leave. So this trust, we need to formally decide what our intentions are. I can offer that when we transfer over from the county entity, that if possible, it would be, in my opinion, to be able to transfer all leave as it is accrued now. And that just, it'll be a different of whose account the checks are coming from, and that each of the employees will be able to we will inherit the leave that they have accrued at that time. Any discussion, Mr. Calvi? You're on mute.
Thank you. No, I think that's in accord with what we were looking at as well. That if we approve your suggestion, Madam Chair, that will make it so that the county doesn't have to pay out all that leave right at once, which could be challenging financially for the county, as well as not really what some, at least, of the employees might wish to have. So if that was a motion, I'll second it.
It is, and it's seconded. Other comments and questions?
On the issue of non-compensable leave, there's been a little bit of discussion relative, do we want to treat sick leave as we are with annual leave? We obviously support moving over the annual leave basis. We don't take any issue with that. But as far as the sick leave goes, do we want to establish like a bank to start people out that don't have any sick leave right now that would be uniform, or do we want to treat sick leave as annual leave and just whatever your leave balance is, regardless of the category, that's what we're going to send over?
So, Mr. Honeycutt, the question came to me one time before, and I know that our CEO is online and available for answers too. But one of the questions that came across is, if I understand your question, is that we would just take the leave as the individual has it. Those that are starting new will start new. And that the one addition or one change could be county employees that share sick leave, we would not carry over or shared leave with other county employees. Only those within the detention center could share their sick leave. Does that answer some questions, or is there something?
Yeah, I think we're halfway there. I'm not specifically talking about shared leave, just like, for myself, if I have a sick leave balance of 0 right now, and I have an annual balance of 10 hours and a sick leave balance of 0 hours, then, obviously we would transfer over those 10 hours. And so my question just simply was, were we willing to consider starting everyone off with a bank of sick leave, such as just 10 or 20 hours? It's not necessarily just kind of offering that up just as a concept.
I think that would be a second question and a second issue, that at this point, it's that we would wish as a trust, the motion is to accept people exactly as they are now and be able to accept it. And then at a later discussion, if this is determined to be feasible and we have second and move forward, then in addition to those items would be another discussion, in my opinion.
That'd be something that HR would help with as they write the policies and procedures.
Yes.
What would be the jail trust? Okay.
Any other comments, questions? We have a motion and a second. Hearing none, I'll call the vote. Ms. Ekwekwu,
Yes.
Mr. Berry,
Yes.
Mr. Couch.
Yes.
I did not hear that, Mr. Couch.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Honeycutt,
Yes.
Ms. Arnaud,
Yes.
the chair votes yes. Commissioner Calvi,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Lamb, have you joined us? All right, item number 5. Mr. Greg Williams, will you please make the presentation? And I believe, Walter, we might need you to help put the logo onto the screen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to present a proposal. What we are recommending, me and my team would recommend as our new mission statement moving forward. The mission statement would be to provide protection through efficient and effective services and intervention, leading to less victimization and more personal growth and development. The vision statement that we would propose would read, operate a secure, safe, efficient, and humane facility for employees and arrestees that promotes teamwork, harmony, honesty, integrity, commitment to progressiveness, sobriety, and respect. Promote efficiency while maintaining a safe environment for citizens, employees, arrestees by responsibly managing the resources and the trust given to us by the citizens and elected officials of Oklahoma County, never forgetting that the safety of Oklahoma County is our top priority. And work with our community, volunteers, and partner agencies to provide effective and professional public safety services for all who have been placed into our custody. Our values would be, we value the system of laws that govern us, including the constitutions of the United States and the state of Oklahoma. We value the communities we serve. Our purpose is to serve our communities, keep them safe, and work with them to solve challenges. We value all persons, respecting the diversity among individuals. We treat everyone with courtesy, respect, and dignity. We value excellence. We value an environment where individuals thrive and teams excel by pursuing mission and vision. We value personal character with continuous commitment to teamwork, harmony, honesty, and integrity. We value open and effective communicators who display adaptability and sound judgment. We value employees who are well-trained professionals, demonstrating the highest standards of excellence. Those would be our recommendations.
Can the county put these up onto our site?
Mr. Williams was made the presenter so that he could go to the share menu at the top and choose to share whatever content he needs to. Otherwise, if you want to send content to us, we can do that at that time.
You have the content. It's been attached to our agenda.
Give me a moment. We're on item 5 here. Which attachment would you like to see?
The first one we'd like to see is the mission, vision, and values.
Okay, one moment, please.
Thank you. Greg, you are on mute. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you. Want to make sure that you are available for questions.
Yes, ma'am. You want me to proceed with our logo? Rather it wait be presented on the screen.
Well, the logo, I certainly would like for it to be presented on the screen. I'm not sure if any of the trustees have access right now to be able to look at the mission, vision, and values at the same time. And it may not be necessary. Does anyone have any questions of Mr. Williams or any comments?
I do regarding the mission, and I really like that, but as our ultimate goal, would no victimization be our mission? And personal growth and development, more personal growth and development is fine, but if we're going to really strive for the best, then no victimization should be the goal, I think. And I understand it will occur in stages, but I like it.
Okay, thank you.
Other comments, questions?
I think it's great and it's very well written. It's very beautiful and encompassing of everything that we want to accomplish.
Good.
I would echo that, Greg. Nice work.
Thank you,
Well
Mr.
done.
Well,
Make a motion, we approve.
thank you, Mr. Calvi. Is there a second?
Are we talking about approving just the mission statement at this point? Or are we talking about both the logo and the mission statement?
This would just be the mission, vision, and values.
Okay.
Are you seconding?
Yes.
Call the roll call, and while we do the roll call, if the county clerk would please prepare for the next exhibit, which is also under item number 5, which is the logo. For the mission, vision, and values, Commissioner Calvi moved, Mr. Honeycutt seconded, Ms. Ekrowekwu,
Yes.
Mr. Berry,
Yes.
Mr. Couch,
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt,
Yes.
Ms. Arnall.
Did we take out the less victimization and make it no victimization? Or are we leaving it as is? I don't know what we're voting on.
Mr. Calvi, your motion, you're on mute.
I would be happy to make it, well, let me just, unless, Greg, you find any serious problem in that, I would be happy to amend my motion to make it no victimization as opposed to less victimization.
That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Okay, so I don't know if that means we have to re-second, but that would be my motion, that we do it as Ms. Arnall suggests, and that we say no victimization.
My second remains.
Thank you. We'll start over. Same. Mr. Calvi has moved. Mr. Honeycutt seconded. Ms. Ekrowekwu,
Yes.
Mr. Berry,
Yes.
Mr. Couch,
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt,
Yes.
Ms. Arnall.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Commissioner Calvi,
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Thank you. Are we able to show the proposed logo? There we are. All
Can you
right.
see that?
Greg, would you please let us know how you all came about this? It's a wonderful job, in my opinion. Please let us know more about it.
Yes, we started working on this several months ago, and it's been a collaborative effort between all of my staff and even members at the jail. And we have passed around lots of different ideas. And then once we got the logo prepared, we got together and really put the wording together on really what this logo would mean to us. We think it's very important, not only that we have a logo, but that people really understand really what the individual components of the logo mean, and really how it ties to our mission, and really how it ties to really what we want to get accomplished and what we want to continue to get accomplished at the jail. So it's been a collaborative effort with lots of different variations as we've moved forward. But so far we have found lots of support for the design and for the different components. And I think it's a logo that at least the majority of people that I've talked to will feel like that they can get behind and be proud of.
Do you want to take the time and read to us what it means?
I'd love to. Thank you. The outer circle of the logo represents the unending work that has continued since the jail was opened in November of 1991, and all the work that is yet to be done. The 2 stars in the outer circle represent the law enforcement agencies with whom we partnered to keep the community safe. The 9 stars at the top represent the 9 original members of the trust who volunteered to serve the community and the jail staff. The 2 wee stalks represent the rebirth and the renewed abundance of life that is generated through the dedicated staff, volunteers, and all of our sister service agencies that help those who are committed to and released from the jail. The Oklahoma Seal reminds us that we are not in this alone. We have the support and the encouragement of elected officials, local businesses, and citizens throughout the county that fuels pride in our mission and purpose. In the center is a buffalo that represents the strength, courage, and commitment that jail staff must have for this most difficult work. The buffalo is recognized as a national symbol that is often associated with industriousness, endurance, and strength. Wilma Mankiller is quoted as saying, cows run through the storm, cows run away from the storm while buffaloes charge toward it and gets through it quicker. When I'm confronted with a tough challenge, I do not prolong the torment. I become the buffalo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Williamson, for all of your hard work and all of those that you've worked with to build this. Comments, questions? Move for approval.
I make the motion to move approval.
I second.
So, Mr. Honeycutt, did you make the motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Barry, seconded.
Yes, ma'am.
Comments, questions? Otherwise, I'll call the roll call.
Great work, Greg.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Ms.
So-
Akwa-Wakwu,
Yes.
Mr. Barry,
Yes.
Mr. Couch,
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt,
Yes.
Ms. Arnold.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Commissioner Calvi,
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Greg. Congratulations and good job.
Thank you for your support.
We have number 6 at the request of Trustee Akwa-Wakwu and Mr. Honeycutt. I know you and your staff have attached your official response. Would you give us just kind of an update and any particulars you would like to share with us at this time?
Sure, I've got Captain Bradley with me here, and he'll be able to provide that update too.
Thank you, Captain.
Good afternoon. So as you guys are aware, we had the initial response plan to COVID-19 that we implemented the first part of March. We pretty much followed that. Last week, we met a couple of different times to discuss a proposal to return to normal operations post-COVID-19. So we had put that plan together. Of course, that's going to be an ever flowing plan because there's a lot of external factors involved. But what we did was we listed all the areas that we would need to kind of develop in phases to return to at least what might be the new normal. Those phases are going to rely on recommendations still coming from the CDC, the city and county health department, our emergency management, as well as, what the governor and the mayor implement as their phases. And then probably the biggest thing that we're relying on or is going to affect the plan is the return to court services. That will be a big step. So we put that together. Like I say, it's going to be an ever-evolving plan, so the plan will stay the same, and then the things that will be updated and changed as we go along will be the attachments, which will be the different phases. Right now, phase 1 is going to be pretty much status quo where we're at right now to assess and evaluate what happens as things in the community begin to open up. If we see a spike, if we start seeing cases in other county agencies or Department of Corrections, then that will affect our speed in implementing other phases.
Thank you. Any questions?
I
I have a
looked
question.
in the gel on preventing bringing COVID-19 into the jail. They've done a remarkable job of keeping people safe.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, I think the plan is very comprehensive, well thought out. And I'd like to congratulate Captain Bradley and his staff and Mr. Williams and his staff for coming up with it. I really like it.
Thank you, Mr. Barry. Ms. Akwa-Wakwu?
Yeah, I wanted to thank you, Captain Bradley, and your staff for creating this document and presenting it. It's very sound, and I'm glad that all of this is being implemented. I had 2 questions, though. The first one is that it's not super clear whether or not you're actually getting the medical equipment that you need, like respirators or different medical devices that actually treat the symptoms of COVID-19. If not, if we could get a list of those items that you need, that would be great. And then what numbers do we have? Has anyone tested positive recently? I'm just getting different talk from people who have been incarcerated telling me that they think people on the 6th floor are, you're keeping people on the 6th floor who've been testing positive or potentially testing positive. So do you have any confirmed cases? How many? And do you have the medical equipment you need to properly treat them?
Sure. Yeah, so of course with the help of Turnkey Medical, they've done a phenomenal job. They've got tests available. As a matter of fact, we tested an individual as a contingency plan for a community placement the other day. So we've got tests in line. Anything that's more intense than that, for instance, respirators and all that kind of stuff. If we have a case that's got to a respiratory distress that would need something like that, that individual would be hospitalized. So that's not something that we would treat here. Currently, we have 0 cases, 0 positive. We've tested a handful of individuals. We've also sent a few out to the hospital, and they've been tested at the hospital, and we've had 0 cases. To date, as of today, we've had 6 employees that we've put on different work programs or work from home programs due to high risk situations, previous health situations with them. And we've had 54 staff that have been quarantined. Out of that 54 staff, 1 tested positive, and that was an individual that was in our cadet academy. So he never made it to the jail. He was out at our training center, and the entire training center went on quarantine. None of those have tested positive. Speaking of this, I'd like to say a thank you in regards to equipment. I know Chairwoman played a big role initially in helping us and emergency management get our first set of N95 masks, surgical masks, that kind of stuff. Since then, we've been working hand in hand with county's emergency management, and they've supplied us on 2 different occasions everything that we've asked for in regards to cleaning solutions, surgical masks, N95s, gowns, shields, all of those kind of things. So we're sitting really good in regards to that kind of stuff. Our CAB, which is the Citizen Advisory Board, they really played a big role in a lot of cleaning solutions. They brought those in a couple of weeks ago, and so that's helped supplement anything that we've had to order. And then we've had numerous community partners with homemade masks. 405 Mask Makers made us numerous masks, some individuals in Midwest City, that kind of thing. So I think right now we're sitting pretty well with supplies.
Great report.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
Yes, I actually have one more. I wanted to thank you personally for letting organizations like Team and North Care and the Public Defender's Office do the video interviews with people who are incarcerated right now. Is that something that you all will be able to maintain staff-wise in the future?
Yeah, probably to some degree. I don't think it'll look exactly the same, but I'm not sure how things are going to look. I don't know what that new normal is going to be. So those will all be things that we'll assess, and we'll certainly involve those stakeholders as well in discussing what that new normal looks like.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good point. Any other comments or questions? Well done. We certainly wish all for the best for all those in there, for their health and safety, and you all have done an incredible job.
Thank you.
Item number 7, is to receive the financial review that we had hired Professor Heron to complete earlier this year.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'll make a motion to receive the update on item 6.
Thank you very much.
Second.
Second for item 6. I'm not sure if it's from my level or in general. I'm getting a lot of cutting in and out. Is there a second for receiving the report on item 6?
Second.
Thank you. Call the vote. Mr. Haneke, do we have to vote on that as well?
I believe so, ma'am.
Ms. Ekroweku,
Yes.
Mr. Berry,
Yes.
Mr. Couch,
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt,
Yes.
Ms. Arnall.
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Commissioner Calvi,
Yes.
Mr. Brown, Mr. Brown,
I'm sorry, I had my mute button punched.
that's all right.
Yes.
On number 7, we'd be moving to accept the independent financial review. I will make special note that it has been adjusted since it was originally sent to you all. There's been an additional language added, some quotes by former Sheriff John Wetzel. Otherwise, I would ask for a motion to receive.
So moved.
So move.
Mr. Berry, would that count as a second?
Yes.
For the record, Mr. Couch moved, Mr. Berry seconded. Comment? Ms. Ekroweku,
Yes.
Mr. Berry,
Yes.
Mr. Couch,
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt,
Yes.
Ms. Arnall,
Yes.
chair is yes. Commissioner Calvi,
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Thank you. Item number,
Madam Chair,
yes, Mr. Brown.
Madam Chair, I have not seen the additional language that was apparently sent as an addendum to that report. I'd like to see it. I mean, I voted already, but I'd like to have it sent to me via email or whatever.
Mr. Brown, it was emailed to you by Rebecca Charlo of the county courts clerks at about 11 something this morning.
Okay, I have not been able to open it, but anyway, that's fine. Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you do not receive it, we'll make sure to send it again.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 8, I would ask for a motion to receive the strategic planning and technology assessment performed by Asimio.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Honey.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Berry, for seconding. Comment? Ms. Ekroweku,
Yes.
Mr. Berry,
Yes.
Mr. Couch,
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt,
Yes.
Ms. Arnall,
Yes.
chair is yes. Mr. Commissioner Calvi,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
item number 9, the claims and invoice list. I ask for a motion for approval. It's been attached.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Calvi moves, Mr. Berry seconds. Comment? Ms. Ekroweku,
Yes.
Mr. Berry,
Yes.
Mr. Couch,
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt,
Yes.
Ms. Arnall,
Yes.
Chair is yes. Commissioner Calvi,
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Item number 10, Greg Williams, we're turning it to you for your report.
Thank you. 10A, engagement, prospective engagement of personnel and possible presentation of updated personnel plan. In conjunction with the Assembly report, we did begin the search for an IT manager. We made an announcement and put that online, and we had a number of responses to that. I have worked with Captain Baisden at the Sheriff's Office, and we have reviewed those resumes, and we are going to schedule interviews for at least a couple of those candidates, maybe as early as Wednesday of this week. So hopefully we will have an IT manager identified and ready for a hire by the end of the week. We have also contemplated, and again, we began some discussions with my team about legal counsel. We think it is very important that we have legal counsel online, ready when the transition occurs. And again, how that will look, we haven't firmly decided whether that will be totally in-house or there will be some retention or contracts with that. But we will have at least some in-house presence of legal counsel, and we will begin that search again this week. Michelle and Dawn and William and I have been talking to staff, and we have begun the onboarding process. They're at the jail, and I would like to invite Michelle Mignetta, the HR director, to give us another update on really where we're at with that transition and with that onboarding process. So here's Michelle, and I'll be back with the rest of 10 in following her report.
Hi, good afternoon. We have spent several days in the jail trying to catch different shifts as they're coming and going and asking them to complete some paperwork for us. We have 3 forms we've asked to complete. One is a general interest to determine who's staying, who's not staying. Another is an authorization to release records that will allow us to look into the sheriff's personnel files for each of them. And then an information form that looks a lot like a job application, but it's not truly an application. It's just simply basic information for us to gather on employees. Based upon reports that I've received from the sheriff's office, along with updates from the 3 captains and human resources there, it appears as though our staffing will be between 369 employees or as many as 392 employees, depending on the sheriff's decisions regarding a handful of employees and positions. During those 3 days, we gathered quite a few sets of documents. We have 192 employees who completed all the documents that we requested, 110 who completed part of them, and we're looking at 90 who haven't responded at all yet. Of those, only 4 say they're not staying with the trust. 34 have indicated that they are uncertain, and a lot of those are those positions that the sheriff is still deciding on. We have 254 employees who have said yes, they intend to stay. And then another 10 who their forms are unclear. The plan moving forward is to continue gathering these documents. They are still coming in. Mr. Mende and I plan to speak with the employees who have indicated that no, they're not coming back, or that they are unsure whether they're coming back, to find out what's going on with them, to see, did they misunderstand the form, or are they truly not interested in staying with the trust? And then finally, I have 295 authorizations to look at individual personnel files, and I will be getting started on those very soon to take a look at the records of those employees from the sheriff's office. Are there any questions?
Ms. Ekoroku?
Michelle, thanks for that update. I would also like to just make the members of the trust aware of a situation that we're experiencing here at the sheriff's office. We're seeing a dramatic uptick in claims for unemployment that appear to be fraudulent. I know that we're not the only county entity to be hit. It's attached itself to a couple of other areas in the county. So far, we've had roughly a dozen of these fraudulent claims come in. So we'll be keeping an eye on that, monitoring it, giving it appropriate responses. But I just wanted to bring it to our attention that this type of effort is out there, but we're handling it on a daily basis.
Thank you, Mr. Honeycutt. Seeing no other questions, Michelle, great report. Mr. Williams, may you continue?
Thank you. Item 10B, procurement of goods and services. The sheriff has a cadet academy in progress at the academy in Spencer going on right now, and that academy is scheduled to conclude on May the 14th. The next academy will begin on June the 1st and will end on June the 18th. At this point, it appears that will be the last training session that the sheriff will conduct there in Spencer, and they plan to be out of that facility by the end of June. So we will need to be prepared to really start a training academy at the point of transition. So with that in mind, we are making arrangements to secure a location and the supplies and the equipment that's needed to do that training. So we will be pursuing that as we go forward. There is a uniform committee there at the jail. The sheriff and the captains have helped us organize a number of staff that have voluntarily worn various uniforms during the last 30 days or so. And they have completed their evaluation and they submitted reports on Friday. So William and I, as well as the captains, will get together maybe as soon as tomorrow to review those evaluations and begin looking at pricing and get with the vendors that are interested in providing those uniforms and to see if we can't finalize contracts or at least a company to start buying uniforms from. We anticipate having that done by the end of the week. 10C is insurance coverage for the authority, its officers and employees. Michelle and I have continued to work with the Beckman Company and others to secure a quote for that insurance. We completed a comprehensive law enforcement liability application last week, which was a very voluminous document, but we got that completed. And we will talk to the Beckman Company hopefully later this afternoon to get a firmer idea really on what we can expect and when we can expect maybe some quotes. So at this point, despite our efforts in completing applications and providing information, we have still not received a quote. 10D is the status of tasks to be completed for the successful future operation of the Oklahoma County Detention Center. Excuse me. We have narrowed the prospective vendors that we have considered for the canteen, commissary, and telephone contracts. We have entered into intense negotiations with several vendors, and we are hopeful that we can at least secure a final drafted contract by the end of the week. After that, we have 8 to 10 other vendors that currently have contracts with the jail to provide such thing as printers, copier machines, and maintenance, chemicals, extermination supplies, generator maintenance, those kind of contracts. There's 8 to 10 of those, and we will be contacting those vendors this week to again confirm really their intentions of going forward and give us an opportunity to evaluate what services they're providing and the cost associated with those services. We're in the final stages of finalizing our training schedules. As I mentioned earlier, we will need to have that really up and ready to go as soon as that transition occurs. So we are finalizing our training schedules and curriculum, and that should be finished in the next month or so. One of the things that we will need, and Mark has been looking into, is a financial and accounting system. As we understand it, we will not be keeping the system that the jail currently operates under. So we will be looking for a new accounting and financial system. So Mark is pursuing those, looking at various options, and we'll come up with a decision and get that on board. We will also need an HR management software system to take over the personnel files of the people at the jail once those are established. So Michelle has been exploring options for that. Again, our plan is just to continue to work closely with the sheriff's staff and getting prepared for this transition that's soon coming, 58 days or more or less.
Thank you, Greg. Comments, questions?
Thank you.
Move to receive the report.
There's a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Ecker-Weckwood,
Yes.
Mr. Barry,
Yes.
Mr. Couch,
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt,
Yes.
Ms. Arnall,
Yes.
chair is yes. Commissioner Calvi,
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Item 11 is kind of like we did last time. And having heard these reports about contracts and that the time sensitivity of them, depending on when this transition is able to take place on a few items, I am not calling for a meeting on May 18th, but I would like for us to potentially hold that date if we need to meet prior to our next meeting, which is June 1st. Mr. John Williams, we have a time frame before we decide. Is that true?
That is correct. We could have the meeting on 48 hours notice, exclusive of weekends and holidays.
Okay, so tentatively, just keep in mind the May 18th, but we'll let you know ahead of time. And I don't think that we necessarily have to vote on that because our next scheduled meeting as of now is still the June 1st. I do call for a motion to adjourn,
Chair, I have one question.
please.
The tentative May 18th meeting,
Yes.
to my very best knowledge, that is the same day that the courthouse is going to open again. Would that meeting be held in person or would we do online again?
I think we just have to wait and determine that.
Just see, okay.
My belief is that a number of us could choose to be inside the county and some of us could choose not to be inside the county, the courthouse. But it would be a mix. Even at this time, there are some, like Mr. Hooten is actually at the Horseshoe now. Hello, Mr. Hooten.
If I could say you have the option of either way, but I do need to have that in advance when we make posting of the agenda. We have to say whether you're going to be present and or video conferencing or teleconferencing. So please be aware of that. But if you show up, you are always welcome to be here.
Thank you, Mr. Hooten. Good question.
Thank you.
Mr. Calvi, you are still muted.
Thank you. So if I can add one thing to that, so the new state law that allows for video conference meetings is more conducive to that than the old state law, but it's during a time of emergency, which we still will be on the 18th and probably for some time to come. If you say you are going to be there by video, you can always change your mind and show up in person and it's okay, but you can't go the other way. If you don't say you're going to be there by video and then you want to do it by video, it's too late after the meeting notice is posted. So might as well go ahead and say you're going to be there by video, and then you can always choose to come in person instead.
Thank you, Mr. Calvi. Good questions. Any other questions or comments? I will move as chair for adjournment. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Honeycutt. Ms. Ecker-Weckwood,
Yes.
Mr. Barry,
Yes.
Mr. Couch,
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt,
Yes.
Ms. Arnall,
Yes.
chair is yes. Mr. Calvi,
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
It is an honor to serve with you all. Greg Williams and your team, thank you for your hard work. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Adjourned.